As a real estate broker working in probate and trusts, and as a fiduciary and working with attorneys and fiduciaries, we get everything from a uh, small estate to large, complicated estates. And I'm really excited to have here today, really, my customer on one of the largest estates I've worked on, Max Meraz. Max, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
So we meet regularly in that we have a process working on with you where you've come to be involved in this whole matter. You want to talk a little bit about your experience on how that started?
Oh, sure. My father owned a small business out in Los Angeles, California. Is a commercial industrial real estate company called Magnum Properties, and he ran it by himself with two employees. And about almost 2 years ago, he suddenly passed, leaving the business kind of in an unknown state. Unfortunately, I was never a part of the business at any point in time. I was never trained on anything, so I don't have any experience in real estate. So it's kind of been new territory for me.
And this wasn't just real estate. This was commercial real estate in downtown Los Angeles, which is a very specific niche. And he also had found a way into a niche at the time that was very successful at the time, which was cannabis leasing properties that had cannabis facilities or cannabis businesses in them, right? That was one of the focuses.
Correct. He was definitely on the forefront of that in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I think that business kind of ran a course, and for a lot of different reasons, it's kind of fallen out of favor. And it's not completely out, but I'm just saying it wasn't the like a lot of niches. It's hot for a while, and then it's not. And so we were kind of left with some of the mess on what do we do now that the rents aren't the same they were back when we leased them out, right?
Correct.
So the thing that was unique about this case was that, and he says small business, and it technically legally is correct, but for
Yes.
most people, this was business with two employees. It had, I want to say, about 10 different customers they were managing property for, and then separately, the owner had about another 10 properties of his own, plus a couple joint ventures with partners. So there was the property he owned, the property he owned in partnership, and the property he managed for other people, all kind of mixed together with a property management company, right?
Correct.
And so even though I'm a experienced real estate broker, those are all some areas I've not dealt with. Nobody's done business in all those areas, including a residential house or two residential properties and some partnerships and such. And then now he didn't have an estate plan when he passed that had been executed, right? That was one of the things you discovered along the way.
Correct. He was in the process of creating a plan. However, he never finished it. So we were kind of just left with nothing, picking up all the broken pieces and trying to make them work.
And your employees that you wanted to make sure were taken care of at the same time. You have a lot of
Oh,
money,
absolutely. Because they've
and
been working
so
there for 20 years. So I want to take care of them. I've known them since I was growing up. So I absolutely want to take care of them.
shout out to Letty and Vero. They've been great to work with. So, kind of describe the process of obviously you get this horrific phone call saying your father passed. When did you realize you had to do something, and what were your next steps?
So I'm over here on the East Coast. So I got the call about, let's say about 10:30 at night. And I was really shocked. I was not expecting that. As far as I knew, my father was in good health. And so I went and woke up my wife and we discussed it. And the first thing was I need to get over there because I didn't know what to do. I've never had this experience before in my life, so I was unsure if do I need to physically be there? Do I need to call Letty and Vero to let them know? The thoughts went around my head is like, oh wait, he's got this large business too. What about the tenants and business partners? So there's a lot to go through, but the first step was just to get out there. And then I met with Michael Abramson and a few others, and they kind of helped me. They put me onto the right path to begin this process.
So, a couple things to add some color because I know this. You're married and you have two children.
Correct.
You were working at the time,
Mm-hmm.
so like everybody in life, you're busy.
Yes,
You're
very
beyond
busy.
busy, probably. You got two kids. You got your hands full, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so now you have to jump everything, come to California. Fortunately, your father had a trusted attorney who I'm not sure his exact title, but to me, I think of him as a commercial business a consultant attorney where he handled a variety of things. He handled evictions, he handled contracts, he handled lawsuits. But he was more of a generalist attorney to your father, right? He wasn't specific in
Yes.
probate. So you meet with him, and of course you trust him to some degree, but you still are kind of trying to figure things out on your own. So after talking to him, how was it you guys put the plan together at that point?
There was this big meeting with Michael and a few other business partners, and the first step was to find a fiduciary, and then the question was posed to me is, do I want to be administrator of the estate or not? If I was the administrator, obviously it'd save a lot of money. However, I do not have the experience in any of that. So I found that, my wife and I kind of came together and said it'd be better to hire an administrator who was our fiduciary, Kevin Bemmel. And from there, we branched out and found the team that we have now to help run the estate.
So Kevin was both a personal and business associate of mine and the attorney Michael Abramson, and he's a professional fiduciary in his business. And so in that sense, he was able to act, on your behalf to fill out those roles. In my experience, it wasn't just the size and the variety of things, but this is one of the most complex estates I've ever worked with in that I felt like we had so many people attacking us at once. You had two partners who, just to summarize, they're both in various forms of litigation with us at some point. Both have attorneys involved with things to resolve matters 2 years later. So neither one of those partners, at the end of the day, were helpful. I think from our perspective as the estate, and that's my judgment. Of course, you're entitled to your own. But it was interesting. The more people told me how much they loved your father and appreciated him, it seemed like the worse they were to work with the exception of Erwin Letty.
Yes.
And then we had a bank that was First Republic that was in the process of going out of business, and they were a nightmare. And so even though you had plenty of money to pay bills and payroll and such, they weren't writing checks because they knew that your father had passed and they didn't know who was in charge, and they were having their own problems, and they got taken over by Chase, and we had to repeat the whole thing again for months. So we had two difficult partners. We had customers who rightfully wanted to get paid. We had tenants who were trying not to pay rent. Every tenant, I think, originally. It just seemed like this whole thing was like this. What was the game where whack-a-mole? It's like you fix one another. I think that's where I realized that you were well served to have a professional fiduciary. It wasn't just as simple as walking into a business taking over, but it really was a whole can of worms.
Oh yeah, and I think it kind of shows how much of a figure my father was to keep this business going, to keep all these people in line, to keep all the pieces moving. It was just incredible.
Yeah, but I mean, and there also, though, to understand, he had done that over decades. So it wasn't like he just dropped in and had those skills. He had those skills, but those are skills that he developed over time, working with all those people and circumstances over decades. And to expect you to walk in and keep all those plates spinning probably would not be realistic.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I can tell you on the inside, as the broker, on the real estate side, we both help the management of the property. We put some property in the market to sell. We're trying to clear out a couple of the partnerships and close them out. And so I think here 2 years later, we now have more of a settled estate, but we're still in the probate process, but we're expecting to close that up lately. So looking back, if you were to talk to somebody in a similar situation, caught by surprise, not planning to step into a complicated business situation, complicated financial situation, what advice would you give them to, end up with the results that I think you've had?
To talk to someone that they can trust, because at this moment in time when someone passes and there's a lot of money involved, people change when it comes to money. So I would say find someone you trust and have conversation with them to say, hey, this is what I'm thinking of doing. Is that wise? Should I trust this fiduciary? Should I have him run the administer the estate? It's just trying to verify who you can trust, and having one person you can talk to can make all the difference. And for me, that was my wife.
That you could bounce ideas off of her and trust her and know she had your best interest in heart and she wasn't involved in the decision process in that sense.
Yes.
Your advisor. Yeah,
Correct.
smart cookie too. I mean, it helps. She's smart, right? If she wasn't, that would be a whole different experience. So Kevin Bemmel was a fiduciary. Mike Emerson is the attorney that you turn to. Obviously, I can just tell as a as part of the team, but not as primary as either one of them. I mean, we all have our roles. That it seems like you guys enjoy and I feel the same way too, to a lesser degree, pretty good level of communication. I mean, on one hand, there's plenty of it. On the other hand, it doesn't seem to be a bother to you or stress to you. So where is the right, how did you guys find this kind of balance between boring with all the details and stressing you out with some of the drama, and at the same time keeping you informed and then bringing you at the right times to make the right decisions? How do you see that balance, and how does that work for you?
I say the team's pretty balanced right now as far as, my stress level and my wife's stress level. We have a tendency to focus on very different things. We are different people. And so I'm able to focus on certain aspects while she focuses on others. So we balance our workload together because she is just as part of this now as I am.
Hmm.
Um, and I think just open conversation without fear of any kind of retaliation in our meetings. I think that's the big one.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's been for me really effective to be able to be in and hear what's going on. Then and that way I can kind of help plan ahead 2 or 3 moves that may not be relevant today, but I'm kind of seeing where things are headed and kind of anticipate some of those challenges. So now going forward, your longer term plan obviously has changed your life as far as the finances, but I also
Mhm.
think that I think both you and your wife are looking to transition into a more hands-on role in the business, right? It's one thing to walk in day one and have to run. That's another thing to be able to kind of pick your way in or find your way in. And so, where do you see your role in this in the next year, 2 or 5 years?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Let's see. For now, our primary focus is our children since we are homeschooling at the moment, but we do want to get more involved. It's just hard to tell when we will be involved because at this moment in time we want to get out of the East Coast area and closer to California, so that way if anything needs or if we need to go to California for whatever reason, we can easily. But eventually, yes, we would like to get involved. Maybe 4 or 5 years. Uh, I don't know if we'll end up getting real estate licenses ourselves, but we will definitely have a lot more knowledge by then in order to how to properly run Magnum, how to manage properties, and how to expand Magnum.
So, I really appreciate the chance. We talked a few months ago, and I thought that somebody in your position, it's one thing for me to talk to them about who they can trust, what the process looks like, or for Kevin or Michael, but they may not have the relationship with either one of them. And I just thought it was important that people hear your story from your side. It's one thing for me to tell people how it worked. It's nothing for you to say,
Mm.
well, it was I'm the heir, and here's how it worked for me. So I know that one of the roles you're looking to play on behalf of the company is be available to talk to people in the same situation and maybe give them your experience. And where appropriate, we can offer some services, and where not appropriate, we can give them some advice, hopefully, or encouragement if that's necessary. So, Max, you're part of the PTAC team and overseeing the Magnum Properties as the owner of the estate. Really appreciate your time today, both you and your wife. Thank you for joining us and sharing your personal story and hopefully your opportunity to help other people going forward.
Yep. Thank you for having me.